Here we are again, everybody. It's good to be here. I missed a few days here, but here we go. Finally back at it. Got a nice Saturday morning after some storms past couple days. Okay, today, next marathon of videos is going to be themed of pieces, artists that had a immediate, strong influence on my music study, exploration, evolution, and hopefully get some information that be a little unique for this period. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into the first piece. This is going to be about 6 pieces. So starting off, basically the first couple weeks in college, first couple weeks of school, college, roommate introduced me to David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust. He was a DJ at the school radio station. So within the first couple weeks, introduced to David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust, listened to it, the whole record, as we did in those days. Sit down and listen to the whole thing. That one had a big effect on me. So I'm actually going to play something from his first, not his first record. Obviously, he had a career prior to Space Oddity. Prior to Space Oddity, he had a first album, and he had albums before that where he did much more songs under Davy Jones. But his first album that we recognize as being the artist David Bowie is Space Oddity. And that album also, him being much younger on that album, he was in his mid-20s, had a big effect on me also. I felt, emotionally, the content of the songs. But I'll go into that later. But we're going to go into David Bowie's first album, and we're going to play the longest song on that album, which is still one of my favorites, and content-wise, and the lyrics and the music and the emotion that it evokes had a big impact on me. So we're going to listen to David Bowie, Space Oddity, Cygnet Committee. And again, we'll go back into a little bit more. Here we go. Lots of volume swells, very unique sounds, different sounds, guitar sounds, they're otherworldly.
I bless you madly, sadly as I tie my shoes. I love you badly, just in time at times I guess. Because of you, I need to rest. Because it's you that sets the test. So much has gone and little is new. And as the sparrow sings dawn chorus someone else to hear, the thinker sits alone, growing older and so
All right, already, sorry, I'm going to stop it quickly. 1 minute, 40 seconds in so far. Very slow build up. It's like very ethereal. The sounds, you got the acoustic 12 string probably. You got some volume swells, electric guitar, cool little floating sounds. The bass, which I always love the bass in early David Bowie. Like it's so prominent and isolated. It's not buried in the mix. The bass has a unique, very effective role there. What else? And the voice, and the voice is very like this yearning. It's a discovery, so you can tell he's getting ready to land himself in something that's sort of an unknown period. So I'm going to rewind it about 10, 15, come into the second part. It's a lot of parts in this. Here we go.
I gave them life, I gave them all. They drained my very soul dry. I crushed my heart to ease their pains. No thought for me remains there. Nothing can they spare. What of me, who praise their efforts to be free? Words of strength and care and sympathy. I opened doors that would have blocked their way. I braved their cause to guide for little pay. I ravaged at my finance just for those whose claims were steeped in peace, tranquility. Those who said a new world, new ways ever free. Those whose promises stretched in hope and grace for me. As I tie my shoes, I love you badly, just in time at times, I guess. Because of you, I need to rest. Oh yeah. Because it's you that sets the test. So much has gone, little is new. And as the sunrise stream flickers on me, my friends talk of a glory untold dream where all is God and God is just a word. We had a friend, a talking man, who spoke of many powers he had. Not of the best of men, but ours. We used him, we let him use his powers. We let him fill our needs. Now we are strong, and the road is coming to its end. Now the damned have no time to make amends. No purse of token fortune stands in our way. The silent guns of love will blast the sky. We broke the ruptured structure built of age. Our weapons were the tongues of crying rage. Where money stood, we planted seeds of rebirth and stabbed the backs of other sons of dirt. Infiltrated business cesspools hating through our sleeves. Yeah, and we slit the Catholic throat, stole a poor, slogans such as wish you could hear. Love is all we need. Kick out the germs, kick out your mother, cut up your friend, screw up your brother, or he'll get you in the end.
Okay. So much he's saying there. Yeah, this is a song that's so vast, lyrically. It's like who's what point of view is he speaking from? His own point of view? Is he speaking of different factions of the the culture at the time, different organizations, the government, the mainstream? It's so, and the love is all you need, talking about other musical jargon and slogans and kick out the jams. It's so relevant, and it's also so individual to apparently his experience, which we'll go into. But I wanted to basically, just because I started hearing more instruments, and I wanted to make sure we had, usually I want to point out the musicians beforehand so that we can hear it in the moment. So there was Mick Wayne. This is his first album, so this was pre his main guitar player for many years. After now I gotta remember his second album. Yeah. Anyway, guitar player Mick Wayne, lead guitar, Tim Renwick, rhythm guitar, Rick Wakeman, which you started to hear on the harpsichord, John Lodge on bass, John Cambridge drums, and Tony Visconti producing. I think the band, they were around at the time in the area, so I think some of those musicians were part of another local band at the time that he was interested in. So I wanted to say that because I started to hear the harpsichord, that guitar, that effect on it. It sounds, I don't know if it's a flanger but it's got such a choked tone to it. Yeah, I love it. It sounds it's like metallic but kind of malleable. Anyway, yeah, he's getting into some deep areas lyrically. When I first heard these, I was hearing the lyrics, but I wasn't listening to the lyrics, and I wasn't ingesting the lyrics. And David Bowie is somebody who's, he puts a lot into his lyrics. There's a lot behind it, and it's a lot of sort of mystery too, I'm sure, because I know he was using a lot of, for some of his later albums, like cut and paste, just putting random things in there, sort of create an effect, create its own new logic. Anyway, I'm going to get back to it. I think we're about halfway through, a little bit more. Yeah. All right. Appreciate it. I'm loving this.
And we know the flag of love, he'll get you in the end. And we know the flag of love is from above. And we can force you to be free. And we can force you to believe. And I close my eyes and tighten up my brain, for I once read a book in which the lovers were slain, but they knew not the words of the free state's refrain. It said, I believe in the power of good, I believe in the state of love, I will fight for the right to be right, I will kill for the good of the fight
There we go. Cygnet Committee, David Bowie. Yeah, that was obviously a giant. His sort of one of his main manifestos on that album. But I love it. It needs to be. I'm going to put the lyrics in the first comment because I think it's it's very meaningful. It's very indicative of not just that period, but the period in a person's life. When they're looking for meaning outside of themselves, and different communities and different ideologies, and I think to think of David Bowie in that period is really interesting. As somebody who was as you can see, as he says in his own words, there's a lot of things going on at that time with him and different movements and not just the intentions, but how they end up being able to, how they sort of change gears and how they move around and how they mold and change, which can differ from the intent and just get twisted, more or less. So yeah, a little bit just on David Bowie. So yeah, it had a huge effect on me. Not just the music, the lyric, but even the lyric, you almost through osmosis you get his feelings. Even if it was in a different language, I feel like I would, he would get across what he was talking about and the emotion, the feeling of it. So yeah, it had been a big impact, and not just his music. Obviously, yeah, the structure, the way he writes songs, the songwriting is all over the place. Like, he's very melodic sometimes, but also he's very like abstract. Obviously, he was into art and things like that too. So it wasn't just like a run of the mill. I'm gonna write hits. He was looking to, put out something very genuine and have it be understood. And if he had to change to do that, he would do it. So yeah, I first heard this 1990, and then within the next couple years, Ryko Disc reissued the David Bowie catalog up to, I think, Diamond Dogs, and I pretty much methodically went right through from all of his albums up to Diamond Dogs, and that one was probably, Diamond Dogs was probably the hardest one to get through to. Just because some of the songs are so dark on there. It took me about 5 or 6 listens before those became something that really got into me, and I really became, indulgent in them. I became very fascinated with that stuff too. But obviously, yeah, my main period is David Bowie's earlier period, yeah, up to Diamond Dogs. I heard all his 80s stuff at the time, living through that time and stuff, so it's fantastic in its own right. As is all of his stuff, has its niche, has its validity, has its value. But yeah, listen to I always like going back to the beginnings of an artist just to see, like, because that's where you get the most vulnerability, the most where things aren't fully formed yet. And it's really interesting to see, the different spaces he was jumping into, because you listen to those different songs on the first album, and there's some very different ideas and some very, very typical, sort of romance, longing, all those types of things of that period where he was putting that out into lyric and song too. So lastly, so personal thoughts on some of this album. This album showed me, like I said, a framework for song structure, chord progressions, which was very useful to me. I loved hearing chord voicings, chord progressions that were outside of the typical narrative, out of the typical harmonic structure. He just seemed like you could, if he wanted to throw a minor on something and then make it major and then do this and that, he would do it. And I don't know if he had the theoretical basis why he was making those, or just went off, this is what I want to hear, this is how it sounds. So I loved his chord choices and the moods that he would evoke from those. So that gave me a blueprint to go on as far as like what mood do I want to hear with this song, and maybe I want to have it surprising or have it be stay within a sort of key. But anyway, his lyricism, secondly, his lyricism cuts so deep, and similar to another artist, Joni Mitchell, who often gets spoken about as not leaving much of herself to herself, that she bears her soul all the time. I think David Bowie is in that same boat. David Bowie always feels like he's just laid out on the rocks. I don't remember who's the Greek story, the person that gets smashed by the waves and just gets left out chained to the rocks. I feel like that's David Bowie, 100%. He just feels like he's showing you everything, and you see it in yourself. So this album, I think, for me, it's about, at the time when I heard it was about in my early 20s. So I was finding the meaning of things beyond the wave of cultures. So it was very useful to me. David Bowie, so some interviews in 1969. Disc and Music Echo, 1969. As David Bowie, in his own words, said about this particular track, he went through the whole album on different tracks and what it meant to him. This track was 9 minutes and 30 seconds. He said, I wanted this track out as a single, but nobody else thought it was a good idea. It's basically 3 separate point of views about the more militant section of the hippie movement. The movement was a great ideal, but something's gone wrong with it now. I'm not really attacking it, but pointing out that militants have still got to be helped as people, as human beings, even if they are going about things all the wrong way. Bowie said, I basically want it to be a cry to humanity. The beginning of the song, when I first started, it was saying, fellow man, I do love you. I love humanity. I adore it. It's sensational, sensuous, exciting. It's sparkled, and it's also pathetic at the same time. It was a cry. That was the first section. And then I tried to get into the dialogue between two kinds of forces. First, the sponsor of the revolution, who believed that the left wing and put support into a lot of the pure, what ended up being the particular movement for quite a few months over in England, people like McFerrin, Jerry Rubin. He said it set up so many false values, so many bad standards, such intolerance and hypocrisy. And to Bowie, he said, I mean, the truest form of any form of revolutionary left, whatever you want to call it, was Jack Kerouac, E.E. Cummings, and Ginsberg's period. I'm afraid I don't know what's happening. I don't know there are any way the underground really went underground. To me, the underground is Yoko Ono, the Black Poets. These people scare the hell out of most freaks. They laugh at Yoko Ono, but it's the whole cliche. This has always been an anthem for its time. It's certainly not single material, but a popular song in the Bowie legacy. It's a passionate amalgam of everything every young person was told to believe in and then critically questioned. And the band behind this was called Junior's Eyes, and then it had Rick Wigman also on harpsichord and organ. The song, the lyricism, the theme of it is poignant and evergreen to people of any age, but particularly to people who are searching for meaning and truth and finding the criticisms in some of the ones that they gravitate towards, which is, it's obviously it's every time, to me, it's every time, any age. And I'm not going to get into today's period, but the idea of truth is obscured as always. So David Bowie, and we're going to do more David Bowie on the channel, obviously. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it as an album. I'd like to do it as an album because I think that's the way to experience it. But it may be on some other lists, some other themed shows for that will come under different categories for me. But again, this category is specific artists that had an immediate and powerful impact on my music, my evolution, and study, analysis, and all that. So David Bowie was a big one. And again, I appreciate it. I'm going to go on to the next one. I'm here to interact with everybody that wants to share an opinion, wants to share music, wants to share anything. And I'm looking to make those connections. And all the future videos, I'm looking to be basically audience-based, audience participation. These first few videos are just going to be a sort of groundwork and foundation so that I can put out things that had make up my my personality, my music, and stuff like that. So the breadth of my orbits when I go around. So I appreciate it, and we'll see you again. Thanks.